getting through benzo withdrawal. Hello, welcome back to Sobriety Bestie. It is so good to have you here. In this video specifically, I'm going to be talking about getting through benzo withdrawal. Specifically, I was on Klonopin, so I was going through Klonopin withdrawal. I was on Klonopin from 2007 until 2009 for 2.5 years and went through a 2+ year withdrawal experience. So I'm here to share with you specifically because one of you, Manny, writes in. He says, any more ideas on how to get through withdrawals would be great. So this video is really an answer to that question of Manny's. Also, he writes, I want to read this method on withdrawals that you're talking about here. He wants to read more about it. So in the video he's referring to, and I'll link up here my BENZO Series playlist if you want to watch all the videos I made on benzodiazepines or getting off Klonopin, getting off benzos. So he's referring to a book I mentioned in another video, and that book is known as the Ashton Manual. It's kind of like the guide to getting off benzos, right? So it's written by a woman named Dr. Heather Ashton, who ran a benzo withdrawal clinic for 14 years. It's actually a Kindle. It's like, I think less than 100 pages total. It's on Amazon. It's a Kindle. The Kindle version is free. So I'll put the link below if you want to get the Ashton Manual and read that. I also want to quickly go through some of the symptoms of benzo withdrawals so that we're on the same page here with what we're talking about alleviating or getting through. So some of the symptoms are anxiety, irritability, sleep disturbances, heart palpitations, muscular pain, stiffness, increased tension, difficulty concentrating. And while there might not be like one specific way that fits all, right? We're all different. Our nervous systems have different histories. We've been through different things. There are things that we can do in general that are going to help us put us in that more resting and relaxing state of being in our nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to heal us. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 7 ways, 7 steps, 7 things, 7 category of ideas of things that you can do to get through benzo withdrawals. But before I get started in that, I want to talk about a concept known as allostatic load. When you understand this, or maybe you already understand this, but it was a game changer for me when I came across this in the literature because it helped me put everything into perspective. Now, I did my research on all this after I got off benzos, after I had gone through benzo withdrawals when I was curious about it. I haven't taken a benzo in 13 years, so it's been a long time for me since I've been in this, but it all makes sense now when I put the science together to it. So there's something called allostatic load. Basically, like if this is our baseline in our nervous system for our arousal level, and here in Sobriety Bestie world, if you've been here for a while, you probably know that I call everything inside arousal essentially. So whether it is that withdrawal symptoms that are irritation, irritability, sleep disturbances, any sort of activation we have inside that's from our sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight system inside our body, call that all arousal. So the allostatic load, it shows our baseline arousal level, that arousal of our autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has the sympathetic and the parasympathetic branches, right? So always think P for peace, parasympathetic is peace, and S for stress. The sympathetic nervous system for that stress response, that fight or flight response. That's where a lot of our symptoms of these withdrawals are typically coming from because we're activated in our sympathetic nervous system. It's autonomic arousal that we're feeling, and we call it things like anxiety or irritation or sleep disturbances. But it's really an autonomic arousal. So we have a baseline in our body of where our autonomic arousal line is. And so we oscillate over that, like we get triggered, we get excited, we calm down, we go up, we go down. We oscillate around this baseline of getting activated, calming down, activated and calming down. And what can happen over our lifetime, either because of our genetics, either nature or nurture or traumas or whatever it is, we don't actually fully recover all the way. So what happens is we get activated, we come down, we get activated, we come down, and we're not able to get down always back to oscillate around that original baseline level. So our baseline can actually move and it becomes higher. So now it's up here instead of down here. So we get this new set point, this new autonomic arousal baseline. And that's when we're super triggered all the time, highly triggered, highly anxious. I know for me, like the Klonopin and alcohol are great because it calms that arousal level down, but then the rebound, what goes down must come up, right? So after I've calmed it down, the rebound is a lot more anxiety. And eventually, for me specifically, from accumulated traumas, unaddressed childhood wounding, and different things in my life, and maybe even just naturally, I'm more autonomically aroused or dysregulated than somebody else. So I accumulated these traumas. So I had a new baseline. So when I got off of benzos, when I got sober and off benzos, because it was at the same time, I was oscillating under this higher baseline up here. So I was like, you know, my highs and my lows were around here when I get triggered and down. And so what I wanted to do, I didn't know that I was doing this, but this is what happened. So basically, I wanted to go back down, if I had known this, right, to this lower baseline where I actually have less of these feelings in general. I'm less activated in general, less anxiety in general, where it's not so overwhelming inside. And so the difference between our new set point, the one that's more frazzle-like feeling, and the old one, that's called allostatic load. It's the burden of chronic stress. That's another way to think about it. And so we can collapse that back down. That gives me chills. That's the freedom. That's why I'm explaining this part of it right here, because there is freedom available to you. For me, what it felt like is I was chopping at a tree for a really long time with all these practices, some of them I'm going to share with you in a hot second here. And eventually that tree fell. And that tree fell, what that means is I was meditating, I was journaling, I was doing all these things. And then one day I woke up and I was like, oh my God, like it's gone. Like my anxiety's gone. Like I am better. Like my benzo withdrawal is over. You know, like it really was night or day like that after a lot of those whacks. And so the way that I understand it through the science is like that new set point that was higher, it collapsed. And for me, it really was like night or day. And I've worked with a lot of students and clients in the past decade on this stuff. And there have been some of them have had the exact same experience as me, where night and day, they're different after trying this stuff all the time. Just as if that tree doesn't suddenly fall. We've been chopping at it for a while. Now, some people, it's going to be a lot different. I don't know how much freedom you're going to get and how much is available to you. But isn't that cool to be on the journey to find out how much freedom you're going to get, how much more internal peace you're going to get? Okay, so that's allostatic load. And when we collapse that allostatic load, that's basically our freedom right there. When we go from that new set point back to a lower set point, either our original one or something lower. And that's freedom. So these steps here are going to help you with that. They're going to help you get through benzo withdrawals, but they're also going to help get you back to that original or to a lower set point, so you experience these things less frequently. I mean, I don't know what was underlying the reason why you took benzos in the first place. Like for me, it was unaddressed trauma, unresolved trauma and anxiety. And so that's what I was faced with when I got off the benzos, was that original stuff plus the rebound, right? Here we go. Number one is mindful movement. And so when I say mindful movement, what I really mean is any movement that you can do where you practice bringing your attention to it. So you're letting go your thoughts and you're anchoring your attention on that movement. My favorite way to do this, like what literally my body prefers, is yoga. Now, I don't love every moment of every yoga class ever. There's always at least 1 or 2 moments in the class where I think I hate this. Like usually I'm in chair pose and I'm like, I hate this. Why am I here? And then I just go back to the pose. Where do I notice the sensations? Where is my breath? And I continually bring my attention back to the movement, back to the pose, back to whatever I'm doing with my body in that exact moment. So it's a mindfulness practice. Tai Chi is also great for anchoring our attention on something that we're doing in the moment. So any movement that you're doing where it's this kind of mindful movement, like you could even do like slow meditation walks where you walk very slowly and bring your full attention into the sensations of your feet. Drop your foot, move up onto your toes, do the next foot, and go slowly and slowly and slowly and bring your attention into each phase of the movement. And when you notice that you're thinking, that's the invitation to bring your attention back to the moment, back to your body. So that is a beautiful way to rewire your system and to work on collapsing that allostatic load and reducing or eliminating your symptoms. Number 2 is time in nature. So a great way to do this is to leave your phone or any electronic devices at home and just go for a walk in nature. Even better, go for a barefoot walk in nature if that's available to you, like a beach or the grass or somewhere where you can put your feet on nature. That's really cool too. Another thing that is like might sound really wild to you, but like I've really enjoyed, even though I was hesitant at first, is to lay under a tree, like either straight on the grass or on the lawn or whatever, or on a like I was gonna say sarong, on a towel or something, on a blanket, and lay under a tree and look up at a tree for a while. Any sort of time that we spend in nature is gonna help us get into that parasympathetic nervous system, that peaceful place inside of our body where we can spend some time calming our system down. And that's gonna be super helpful. At least I have found it to be super helpful. Number 3 is an actual meditation practice. Now, you might be thinking, that is too much. I can't meditate, or I'm not interested in meditating, or I'm not trying to meditate. That's how I felt in the beginning. I wasn't interested in meditating, but what I was interested in was being able to concentrate better because I couldn't concentrate. Like it took me a while to learn how to concentrate again, or Because when I got off benzos and got sober, like my brain was super, super frazzled. And so I felt really anxious and I couldn't concentrate. It was really difficult to work and it was really difficult to sit still. And it was really difficult just to like exist. Like my biggest wish was to feel comfortable in my skin. So what I did was I had like a baby beginner meditation practice where I sat down and I set a timer on my phone for 2 minutes. And then my rule was I can do anything except stand up. And so, I would open my eyes sometimes and check the clock, like, is it 2 minutes yet? Like in the beginning, 2 minutes felt like an eternity. And then eventually I could keep my eyes closed the entire 2 minutes. And I would, a lot of it was more like a think-a-tate. I'd be like thinking a lot. And then what I would do is like, you're sitting there and you're just focusing on your breath. I would just like focus on my breath with that 2 minute timer. I know it's going to stop me after 2 minutes. So I'm thinking. And then there's that moment that I notice that I'm thinking. And then I go and I notice my breath. And that right there is the practice. It's not about being fully present or being fully aware of our breath. It's those moments where we notice that we're not present, that we bring our presence back to our breath, if we're focusing on the breath. That's also helping us concentrate. We're literally concentrating our brain on our breath. We're practicing our concentration ability, our ability to pay attention, which is key. It was super key for me in healing and reducing the symptoms of the benzo withdrawals in early sobriety. And if you're like me and your mind is super active when you're in this process, a mantra might be even better for you. It might be something that you want to reach for instead, or you can practice with the mantra for longer. And so a mantra that is really great is, may I be at peace. May I be at peace. So say it with me now. May I be at peace. You want to close your eyes and say it in your head. May I be at peace. Feel in your heart that desire for yourself to be at peace as you think those words. May I be at peace. If your eyes were closed, go ahead and open them. Not only am I setting an intention essentially to be at peace and a wish for myself to be at peace and connecting with that, the beautiful thing about a mantra or giving our mind words to say is that if I'm thinking, like with a mantra, I'm thinking, may I be at peace, it's hard for other thoughts to come in if I'm giving my mind those words to hold on to. So may I be at peace is a great way to stay present in the moment with that desire for ourselves to be at peace. A third option for meditation is to gaze at a candle. You set a timer for 2 minutes in this case, or 3 minutes, or 4 minutes, or 5 minutes. And again, with all these practices, you can work yourself up from 2 minutes to 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes to however long you want, right? Just like when we go to the gym, we start with a smaller weight, we do less reps, and we build up over time. We're building this practice up over time. The candle is similar to the breath, where you just gaze at the candle. You're watching, this is a flame of a candle, by the way, apparently. So you're watching the flame of the candle, and when you notice that you're thinking, you just bring your attention back to the candle. And then you bring your attention back to the candle. Then you're thinking, oh yeah, the candle. Thinking, oh yeah, the candle. And you just watch it. You watch the red, the blue, the yellow, whatever colors you see in that flame as it flickers and as it moves. You can either light an actual candle and have it be in front of you. I actually have a candle burning meditation on YouTube. You can certainly watch that if you want. But anything where you're bringing your attention over and over and over again, you're concentrating, you're practicing concentrating, and you're being present, which is super healing and exactly what you want as you're moving through these withdrawal symptoms. 4 would be support, any kind of support you could get. So whether that is some sort of support community or support network, people who are going through something similar as you. If you want to Google online, like benzo withdrawal community, benzo withdrawal support groups, find maybe there's Facebook groups you could find, or some place in your community where you'll find some people you can connect with. The support might look like a therapist that can help you through some of this process, someone that you can be honest with and that you could talk to. It might look like a friend or a loved one who maybe they don't understand the journey you're on. Maybe they're willing to be there with you and to be there for you, and that you can talk to things about them. Maybe they even want to watch some of these videos on the BENZO series to understand a little bit about what you're going through, and that it's going to be a matter of time and you're learning how to calm yourself down and reintegrate and feel comfortable in your skin. So anyone that feels like it's supportive and that you could be honest with or open with, I think that's going to be really helpful if you have that available to you. 5 is mindset. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. So that is a great mindset. It's just understanding that everything passes. Not everything is permanent and stable. Like this is a journey that you're on. The journey It might be all messy. It might not be a straight shot. You know, it might not just get easier and easier and easier over time. It might. But if you practice these calming techniques, your nervous system will learn to be more calm. You will rewire and retrain your nervous system to be more at peace more often. So you are going somewhere. And so this too shall pass is a great mindset to understand that this isn't permanent. The way that you feel and these symptoms aren't permanent. There might also be some sort of audio program that you really vibe with, or some sort of teacher online that you vibe with and you want to listen to their words of encouragement or their words of inspiration or motivation or something. For me, what that was, now my journey getting off benzos, I got off benzos in September 2009. So what I listened to at that time was Eckhart Tolle's book, Practicing the Power of Now. Not Power of Now, but Practicing the Power of Now. I'm not necessarily recommending that, although it was tremendously helpful for me. I recommend you trusting yourself and whatever resonates with you. Like if you're religious, it might be something of some sort of thing having to do with your religion. It might be a spiritual teacher that you vibe with. It might be a guided meditation, something, right? And so for me, what I loved about Practicing the Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle is I listened to it every day on my phone, right? I'd had the audiobook. I'd listen like 10 to 20 minutes a day. And it just reminded me to like come back to the moment, to be here now, to bring my attention to my body. And I listened to it as I got ready for work in the morning. So I was, eating breakfast, walking around the house, obviously not being mindful if I'm listening to it while I'm doing this other stuff, right? Busted. But his words seeped into my memory, and because I listened to it in the morning, it helped set my day up to be more present. And that helped to train my mind to be more embodied, like in my body, for my attention to be present in the moment instead of in these anxious thoughts or these irritated feelings or wherever it was. So any sort of audio, book, program, literature, teachings that vibe with you, that help remind you to be in the moment or help bring you to faith or presence or any one of the principles that are like super spiritual and beautiful and like of the moment, right? That would be super helpful, I believe. 6 is acceptance. I mean, I could have put this one first, but acceptance. This is where you are right now. Yes, this too shall pass, but this is where you are right now. So we accept it. This is it. This is where I'm at right now. Now, we don't resign. Resignation is different than acceptance, right? Just because you're here right now doesn't mean you're going to be here, in the future down the line. But yes, this is probably uncomfortable. Yes, you don't want to be here. Yes, you want to get through this. Yes, the withdrawals might feel hard at times. But yes, this is where you are. There's something really wonderful about just accepting where we're at when we're there. It's transformative. We're not resisting the moment. It's actually healing. Because wanting to be somewhere different than we are, it's like a violence to our system because we're not there. It's like a shaming of ourselves, right? Yes, it's hard. And I'm taking all the steps. It's kind of like we fall in a ditch, right? We fall in a ditch. We don't have to decorate it and set up shop and live there and pitch a tent in it. No, yes, I am in a ditch and I'm doing everything I can to climb out of this ditch. I'm doing my mantra, may I be at peace. I'm listening to an audio. I'm doing mindful movement, right? So accept where we're at while we also take those steps to where we want to be. 7 is relaxation techniques. Remember, this is a parasympathetic nervous system game that we're talking about here. We're talking about calming arousal. We want to calm the autonomic arousal. That's what this journey is essentially about. So any sort of relaxation techniques you can do would be amazing. Specifically, what the literature and me recommend is progressive muscle relaxation. To run through what it is, it's basically where you start from your feet, move to your head, and then you can go back to your feet. If you want to start on your head, you can. I always start on my feet. Clench the toes really tight, really tight, really tight. Let them go. Then you clench the calves, and then you let them go. You can do this while you're laying in bed, while you're getting ready to go to sleep. You can do this in the morning when you wake up. But you basically go from your feet to your calves, to your thighs, to your bottom, to your abs, to your shoulders, all the way up to your jaw, to your face. And you squeeze everything tight for 3 to 5 seconds, and then you release. If you have any physical pain, definitely don't do this, right? But squeezing and releasing. And so that's bringing our mind to the moment. It's literally relaxing us and calming us down, but it's also bringing us into our body, into the moment. And so progressive muscle relaxation is something that I recommend for anybody wanting to be more calm or more at peace, anybody who wants to heal anxiety, but also for getting through benzo withdrawals. or dealing with early sobriety, or anytime when we're frazzled inside or irritable or anxious or overwhelmed, when our autonomic arousal is really high. Progressive muscle relaxation is key. I also want to mention here that I wrote a book that has, I think it's 46 practices inside, and the practices that are inside, I specifically wrote it for somebody who's in early sobriety, but I wrote it as somebody who went through that benzo withdrawal period. It was about 2.5 years that I was going through this, where I felt all these withdrawal symptoms when I was my first 2.5 years sober and my first 2.5 years off benzos. And I went on a huge journey around the world, essentially. At 6 months sober, I was in India learning meditation. I learned about the candle in India. 3 months sober, I did a yoga teacher training. I've been all over studying all these techniques because I was super uncomfortable in my skin. I was desperate to feel comfortable in my skin. So I sought out everything that I could find in order to figure it out. And so I put together the practices that I've developed over the years, the ones that work the best to help people calm down, feel more comfortable in their skin. And I think it would also be really good if you feel called and you want to join and you want to read the book and practice some of the principles or the practices in my book. It's called The Heartgasm Revolution. I'll post it below. The Heartgasm Revolution is a mind-blowing guide to self-love. That's the subtitle. But it's filled with all these practices that allow us to be more embodied, to heal our heart, to feel more comfortable in our skin. And I think it would be amazing for you if you feel inspired to it. Now, my advice above all, my number one piece of advice always for everyone, everywhere, is trust yourself. Trust yourself. If something feels like it's aligned for you, that's aligned for you. That's the thing to do. Like, there is a wisdom inside us. The guidance is inside us, We got to trust ourselves. For me, so much of the recovery journey, like recovering from numbing out with alcohol and benzos, the recovery journey is a recovery to trusting myself, to understanding that there's wisdom going through me, whether we want to call it a higher self or God or intuition or whatever. There's wisdom inside. And I can tell when things are for me or when they're not for me. And I can be on the journey of, finely tuning my intuition. So if a book feels like a yes for you, it's a yes for you. Like if it's a no for you, like I mentioned practicing the power of now, if you're not getting a yes, it's not for you. If I mention progressive muscle relaxation, and it doesn't feel aligned for you, then don't do it. Trust yourself. Trust yourself with the tool that's right for you right now. And that may change over time. That's what this is. It's really about trusting yourself, coming home to believing yourself, trusting yourself, feeling comfortable in your skin. In fact, I don't know how we heal anxiety and heal from these things if we don't get into trusting ourselves and trusting the energy inside us. It's also one of the biggest gifts about doing this process and calming ourselves down and feeling more comfortable in our skin and healing from these withdrawal symptoms, that we can be more in touch with our intuition. Or at least that was exactly what my journey led to, was being more in touch with the wisdom inside. And that's a beautiful thing. That is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel, but it is also a light that is here now. You can trust yourself now. So leave any comments below that you want to let me know, which one really spoke to you, which one are you going to try, or what did I leave out? What do you want to add to this that's been working for you? Definitely, if there's anything that's been working for you to get through these benzo withdrawal symptoms, share it with the tribe below. Put it in the comments. Share the love. And all right, as always, I wish you much peace and freedom on your healing journey. May you be at peace. And I'll see you in the next video.